10 million people worldwide are estimated to be living with Crohn's disease or colitis, but millions more are silently battling inflammation, gut dysfunction, exhaustion, brain fog, and nervous system overload every single day. This isn't just about the gut. This is about the environment that modern humans are living in. Today, we go deep into inflammation, the brain to gut connection, chronic stress, and why so many bodies are struggling to regulate and recover.
Hello, today we are with Dr. Chris Cormier, and we're going to be talking about Crohn's and other gut issues. Hello, Dr. Cormier.
Hey, Cameron.
Let's start off with Crohn's. Who are the people that you see the most? Age, men versus women, life stage, and what do they usually have in common when they arrive?
So men of all ages, women of all ages. There's no particular incidence this nowadays. I think there's so much that can affect the gut in today's world that we're seeing more gut issues than we ever have.
What are they struggling with most in their daily life at this point?
Just trouble digesting, right? Digestion, believe it or not, should be pleasant, right? You should swallow your food, you should chew your food or smell your food first, then chew it, then swallow it, then you liquefy it, take all the necessary nutrients you need, and then excrete all the waste out, and you have a bowel movement, and it should be nice and pleasant, and you don't even think about it, and everything's great. But when things are not right there, you start having issues where your gut is either bloated, you're constipated, or you got immediate diarrhea every time you eat, or just episodic diarrhea where you just don't feel good. And the constant nonstop bloating and inflammation just doesn't go away in a lot of these cases.
Many people describe that their symptoms come and go. What patterns do you notice?
It kind of what I just mentioned, how either constipation, bloating, diarrhea episodes, where they just don't feel right. The belly never feels like it's actually doing all the things that it's designed to do. We talk about liquefying and absorbing nutrients and basically turning the rest into waste. That whole process is complicated. How God made this body is complicated, but it's really not. It's a beautiful symphony, and it should be happening in the right way. When it gets interrupted, all these symptoms start to creep in, and it just makes life miserable.
Why do flare-ups often show up during stressful periods in life or big life changes?
So stress, there's three different, unbeknownst to a lot of people, you might consider stress to just be emotional stress. But of course, emotional stress can affect your body. So I want you to think about, we each have 30 trillion cells, which is crazy to think about. And those 30 trillion cells are trying to survive in this crazy world we live in. And it's getting incrementally harder for our cells to thrive and stay perfectly healthy. So what happens to us is we encounter stress as we go through life. And emotional stress would be one of the things you would consider. So if you have something emotional that happens to you, it can knock off some health or power to some of your cells. And then if you have something physical, like a physical stress, it could be somebody that hit you in the belly, or you bent over a chair, or you got in an accident or threw a ball into your belly. I mean, all kinds of things can happen physically to your belly, but then you also want to consider like anything environmental. So it could be any food or drink that you consume that can cause those cells to become problematic. It also can be chemicals and pollutants and toxins and additives and Wi-Fi. It's so much in today's world to think about.
Yes. People often say, my tests are normal, but I don't feel normal. How do you explain that?
So the testing that we do is not the testing that other people do. A lot of people do blood tests and just rely exclusively on the blood, but we're actually relying on the cells. So each cell, just imagine your small intestine is a big wad of tubes, right? Well, every single millimeter, every single cell in that small intestine is wired to your brain. Isn't that neat to think about? So each one of those cells, all it takes is for the brain to lose power from a nerve, through a nerve, into one of those cells, and those cells lose their power so they can't digest. And the next thing you know, that small intestine's not working, it lost its power, and then that grows into more and more nerves and cells that have lost power. And then that trickles into more, and you can imagine that's how this process starts. It starts with a stress that affects the power supply from the brain to a part.
What do most people misunderstand about what their symptoms are trying to communicate to them?
So the body should be healing itself. And there's symptoms that they're getting. I think, get a symptom, they really think, I need a pill. I want you to think the symptoms that you're getting, it's not because you have a deficiency in that pill. Those are crying out and saying, we need help, we need power, connect me, get my power back so that I can do my function again.
When someone walks into your clinic, the Nerve Health Institute, what do you often notice that hasn't been addressed elsewhere?
So when they get here, what we do is a very thorough history, and our history is a lot different than everybody else's. We go into the emotional traumas that they've had throughout their life. We go into the physical traumas they've had, and we go into the environmental traumas that they've had. Because remember, each one of your stresses that affects you is going to be different than mine based on my history. So we want to know everything we can holistically about that patient in the course of their life. And then once we do that, we go into a very detailed neurological exam where we get into the brain, and there's primary nerves that come off the brain that power up all the cells in the body. And so we go through testing that we do. It's very similar to testing breakers in a breaker box, where we're turning on power to each one of those 88 nerves and making the brain recognize where power outages are. And just to give you an example, is a lot of the nerves in the lower to middle back, they go to a lot of your legs, right? But they also wrap around and they branch to a lot of your digestive tract. And there's other, like nerve up here, that'll go to the parotid gland, right? So it's you got to know what nerve goes where and then how to check it to get the power back.
Yes. You talk a lot about the nervous system. Why is it so important in long-term symptoms?
So it's important in every that you get, whether it's long-term, short-term, but the nervous system is your power company, and it's your brain, to all your cells. And of course, if you're not going to somebody who knows how to check some of those nerves, you want to imagine today's world's filled with so much interference, and that interference can knock off power. A good example would just be foods, for instance. God-made foods versus man-made foods. Mm-hmm. And people sometimes hear of GMOs, genetically modified foods. Those are not God-made foods. Those are man-made foods, right? And so, but there's a man-made corn seed that does exactly like the God-made corn seed, but your body only has the God-given ability to process that God-made corn seed. It doesn't have, technically, the software to process that man-made seed. So when you go into digestion, and you can imagine it's confusing, right? If your body eats that man-made seed or anything that has that man-made corn in it, well, of course it can offset all kinds of digestive processes. And the next time corn again, the made corn, it can be offset. So that's just one example in today's world. It's a lot. It's so much to think about.
Why does the body often react before people consciously feel stressed?
So the body is designed to heal itself, and it should be healing itself without even you thinking about it. I always use the cut example. If I cut healthy cells, it's the most miraculous thing you've ever seen, where you look down and the cut's gone, and you can't even see a scar where it was. But then if I cut unhealthy cells in the body, it takes longer to heal, and then you'll see a scar because the body struggled to heal because those cells weren't healthy. And then the last example would be maybe the cells are really dying and they're not healthy at all. That cut may never heal. So that's kind of how the body works. In these areas, the weaker a cell gets, the less power, the less communication, the less connectivity they have to the brain, and they can't communicate properly what's going on.
Mm-hmm. What changes when the body starts to feel safer instead of constantly on alert?
So when we're able to fix these connections, it resets the parasympathetic nervous system. So you have a sympathetic, which is fight or flight, worried, fearful, survival side. But then you have a calming, healing, relaxing, digestive side. And that's called parasympathetic. And so a lot of our patients come to us with these gut issues, and like Crohn's, and literally this sympathetic is dominating. It's so strong. And this parasympathetic, you want them to be equally strong, is very weak. So we got to do everything we can to get this parasympathetic nervous system back to strengthen up that whole side so that digestion, sleep, calming, relaxing can happen again.
Yes. You use the OWL method, oxygen, water, and light. Why start with such basic things? Because
that's how our cells work, right? I think everybody should know this, but don't know it. They think immediately when they have a symptom in the body, they think immediately pill. Well, those pills aren't your primary ingredients. So when you have a symptom, it's a deficiency in one of those primary ingredients. And number one is oxygen gas. We could do without a lot of things. We cannot do without breathing. Don't try it, right? And then the other thing is none of us breathe enough, and we don't know we're breathing anymore. So over time, groups of our cells lose oxygenation and they get sick. And so oxygen is a key component. We use oxygen to replenish back to cells for that reason. We have all kinds of oxygen modalities. Water would be number two. And basically we want our bodies to be at least 60% water, and the quality as well as the quantity matters. So sometimes people don't have enough water, and then other times the quality of the water is not good. So we have ways of helping with that. The light part, the light energy, that's the brain's fiber optic power to all the cells, which is crazy to think about. There's light traveling to and from the brain to all the cells. There should be, anyway.
Why do you focus on calming and regulating the body instead of fighting symptoms?
So if you just focus on symptoms, let's say your gut is inflamed and you just take an anti-inflammatory, well, that's not fixing why the gut got inflamed. So we want to dig deeper into the body, and maybe it was just a few of those cells that got disconnected due to a particular stress or two or three that you had. And if you repair that connection, the gut feels better. The body can heal itself. It's like a cut that wasn't healing, and all of a sudden it starts to heal.
You often say healing is about timing and order. What does that mean in plain English?
So you have to go back to why did those cells get injured in the first place? And you have to try to figure out where the weaknesses are between the brain. You can imagine how many nerves are connected. In fact, some people call the gut a second brain, but in our world, it's a third brain. The second brain is the brain. Second brain would be the heart, and the third brain would be the brain or the gut, right? So basically, the heart and the brain are the two most important things in the body, but the gut is right there. And so when that gut starts to get disconnected, so many bad things can happen. And it's like one disconnection to a group of cells might lead to 20 more, to 30 more. And it's like the next thing you know, it's just riddled with power outages until we get all those to come back on.
Why can doing less sometimes lead to better results?
So with certain cases, we have to, every case that comes to see us is customized. And what that means is some people come in, they're so damaged, their gut is so damaged that we can barely do very much. We have to start with a little bit of intervention because their computer won't handle a big update. But then as we start to get some progression, it's like the body starts to get this momentum going. Oh my goodness, it feels healing. Every visit coming here, people get results. Let's say you come here and you feel really inflamed in your belly, you're gonna leave every single time feeling better. I know it's a weird thing for most people, but that's how we operate. When the brain gets reconnected, it feels better. When you get a bunch of oxygen, when you get the right water, all those things help the body to heal.
You also use a lot of frequency-based therapies.
We do.
For someone new to that, what does that actually mean?
So again, frequency is, think about our cells. We have 30 trillion cells, and every single one of those cells has its own resonant frequency or tune, like a guitar string. And so I don't play music, but a musician can just ping each guitar string and tell you which one's tuned up or not. And if it's not, they can just tune it up. So nowadays, we have devices that just fit in your pocket that are really easy, that target groups of cells. So like, let's say you have problems with your small intestine. Well, we have an intestine device that you use, and it frequency fits pocket, resets the frequency of your intestine cells or your pancreas cells or your gallbladder cells. Wherever we want to target, we can target those areas. And it's so easy to use. It's painless, and it's just a little device that you use on a day-to-day basis.
Sounds amazing, for
Yes.
sure. How does it support the body without forcing it to change?
So remember, it's just tuning the body. It's restoring its tune. So each one of those cells, when they have their right frequency, and that's something I didn't mention, the small intestine may have the cells in the small intestine have a different frequency than the cells in the pancreas, than the cells in the liver, than the cells in the gallbladder. Every cell has its own tune. They're almost like little radio stations. And if they're off the tune a little bit, then they can't do their job. And you got to imagine so many things are affecting, there's so much interference. We talked about all the different stresses in today's world that affect the tune. And it's like, unless you have something that's helping you to reset frequencies in the body, you're going to have problems. Einstein was predicting it in the early 1900s that, frequency is going to be the future of medicine. He's exactly right.
Why do some people respond better to gentle signals rather than aggressive treatments?
So that is that we are very about. Certain people coming to us, they can handle a little bit of intervention, and then other people can handle a lot more quicker. And we have to adjust accordingly based on that. And that's where all the experience comes in. We've been at this for almost 30 years. So I've really, each person that comes through the door, we consider to be, they're going to be different. So every person is different. What you're to is different than what I'm sensitive to. And that comes through. So we're constantly making discoveries that maybe help the next 1,000 people to get quicker results and more relief. And all of it is centered on just getting the body to heal itself quicker.
How does this help the nervous system settle and regulate?
So when the nervous system's balanced, when to us a lot of times, especially with these types of conditions, the sympathetic is over dominant. And remember, that's the surviving side, and the digestive, calming, sleeping, relaxing side is not. So once you get this balanced, everything in the body works better, they feel better, they digest better, they sleep better, and they just enjoy a much higher quality of life that's not medication dependent.
Many people feel better in clinic, but may struggle once they get home. Why does that happen?
So again, it's dependent on what people are doing. And so there's always a stress and a reaction. So when some part of your body feels bad, there's something that happened. Either it was something physical that you did, like a physical posture or activity. Maybe it's emotional that you're thinking about, or there's something that happened, and then maybe it's something environmental. It could be as simple as the clothes that was rubbing on your belly. Maybe they had some chemical in it at the time. I mean, there's so many factors that go into this stuff, and you have to consider all those things and try to teach people, because each person can be an individual. So if somebody had a pattern of somebody being weak to a particular food, well, we have a way of strengthening that frequency to that food so that they're not continuously weak. Because one of the things we see is if you get like I call it a kryptonite for Superman. If a food that you're eating suddenly starts to make you weak, turn off cells every time you eat it, well then anything that's molecularly similar to that food, your body will suddenly get weak to everything. Next thing you know, you got 25, 50, 100 things you can't eat anymore. And that happens. And so we have to figure out what that root was, and we can trace it all the way back to an elemental level, which we have here. And then we fix those frequencies. We fix the body to where they can handle those things better so they can live their life and enjoy all the things they want to enjoy.
How does Body Chargers help people continue this process day to day?
Yeah, so we have the Nerve Health Institute, which is our clinic, which we have extremely high level devices, methods, technologies to be able to help. Like we talked about, connecting the brain and getting oxygen and water and light, those modalities. And then we also have Body Chargers, which is our online at-home system that we've developed with all of our devices and methods and techniques. And it started with us just recommending certain things for patients because I wanted to go with them 24/7, but I can't. And so we do these different methods, devices. These things look like this. The Body Chargers, for instance, they reset the cells. And like I mentioned, if somebody's leaving my office, I want them to have something to help them protect them in today's world. So if I want to run healthy pancreas, if I want to run healthy digestion, if I want to run constipation setting, I got all these settings I can just put in my pocket, turn on, and then we find patterns where certain people, you'll start to figure out that, that's frequency, that setting, I felt so good after it. And the other setting, I didn't feel so much. It depends what setting you're running. But the more often people get used to adjusting frequency, it just becomes miraculous in the body.
Why is consistency more important than intensity?
So your body requires consistent care. So some people just think, hey, give me everything you got in 2 minutes. Well, that's not going to really, it may help you temporarily, and it may not. It may be too much for your body. But the consistency about all the things we teach for home, like with Body Chargers, we have this 28-day challenge we recommend, and it just teaches people the day-to-day grind and being consistent about getting oxygen, water, light in their body and how to do it and what types. So we have everything built into the system to try to teach people this platform of changing your life for the better and making changes rather than just relying on medication. I think people are getting tired of just eating pill, and then cutting part of the gut out. I mean, I'd rather teach people how to heal these cuts and get the body to heal itself.
Yes. If someone feels overwhelmed and are stuck right now, what's the first thing you want them to understand?
Well, the body is fully capable of healing itself. I didn't design it. You have a God-made body. You just got to use the right resources. You have to use the right methods, and you have to pay attention, right? So when people are coming to see us, we are very diligent about making sure that we're getting results on every single visit, and we're teaching them what to do, how to get results for themselves at home if something goes off. So you got to make sure you see the right person, see the right clinic. We have everything in body charters. If you're not able to get to the clinic for some reason, you could use our online program. We have so many videos, tutorials. Everything to me is about education, and it's about changing the mindset. The old school mindset in mind is relying on meds for this type of condition. And it's not that way. You need to rely on very, very specific, it's like oxygen, water, light, frequency, very simple ingredients to get your body to restore its ability to heal itself.
What changes when people feel supported daily instead of only during appointments?
So having Nerve Health Institute together with body chargers has been a game changer for us, because now when I can't be there with them when they leave their appointments, when our staff when they can't be there with them, they have body chargers. It's about 24/7 that they can go to at any given time. I have areas in there where it shows them how to use the frequency devices, videos, tutorials. Every product we would recommend is in there with videos. We also have health secrets, and we teach them like little things. Like if your belly is disconnected, we teach you exercises you can do that may be as simple as what I just did, tapping on the gallbladder, right? And that's telling the brain, saying, whoa, hey, is my gallbladder connected? Is it not? I mean, little things like this make all the difference in the world, despite what you think. You know, if you're still out there thinking that it's just about medication, it's definitely not.
What gives you the most hope when working with long-term cases?
We always want to make sure that we're taking care of people, not just now. So the process for us is, let's say you come to see us and we find, you have all these gut issues and maybe some other issues on top of it. Well, we want to go through a corrective plan where we a good bit of work, we correct these things, and we teach you what to do at home, to where then you start to learn how to not need us. That's ultimately what we want. But to go through that process, it's a whole learning curve that people have to go through here, in addition to the therapeutic side of getting those cells healthier, right? And then once people leave, we don't want to just say, okay, you're done. Like, we want to make sure that we nurture those people, because I want to keep their brain at least 85% connected to their cells for the rest of their life.
What do you wish more people understood earlier in their health journey?
The one that I've been after for many years is keeping the brain connected to the cells. It's so, when you think about how God made our bodies, that every single one of those cells is connected to you with a nerve. I mean, there's no way to dissect that. We had 75 cadavers when I went to school, and I saw the big nerves that I could visually see. But now, in hindsight, no way you could dissect all the nerves, because every one of the cells has a microscopic nerve connecting to it's like a big tree. It starts with a big tree branch, big power line, and it gets smaller, all the way to microscopic. So it's just vast network. And if you keep your brain connected to your parts, they work so much better, and the brain just stays self-healing. Also, these other ingredients, I know it sounds simple for people, but breathing, if you don't have the resources or whatever to come to see us, just breathe more, because remember, it's our number one nutrient. In our 28-day challenge on the body charters, we have all these different breathing exercises we teach people that are free, right? It doesn't cost anything, but yet we're just trying to offer help for everybody, whether you can come here or not. Some people want to come direct to the clinic, and some want to go to body charters, but whatever you can do, we want to give you, wherever you are financially, we want to offer the help that you need to be able to get through this condition.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cormier. That does conclude our talk for today. I think that was a very informative talk, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
If this podcast spoke to you, or if you feel like you have family members or friends that have these types of conditions that could benefit from this particular technology, then all you need to do is become a Body Chargers member or tell them about Body Chargers. Remember, it's our community that I created to help people at home with the best technologies in the world to be able to help you to self-heal your body at home and maximize your self-healing. So go to Body Chargers, become a member. That's the easiest way to get this done. And we look forward to serving you and your family. Also, if you want a higher level of care, we have the Nerve Health Institute you can always come to. That's our clinic where we have higher level services here to be able to help you. So I hope you enjoy, and we look forward to serving you and your family, and look forward to our next podcast.